What's up, and welcome back to Nowstalgia Pod, giving you your weekly look at what's going on in pop culture. My name is Pat Sheehan, joined by my trusty co-host. He just got nominated for Best Country Song at the Grammys. Dave Martin Swagger. Dave, how you doing, man?
Let's go, baby.
You and
Repping
T Swift.
for all my Southerners.
I know if you look at the map of the United States of people who listen to this podcast, the South heavily represented, I'm sure, in our
Oh yeah,
listener
totally.
base. If you are listening and you're in the South, hit that subscribe on youtube.com/nostalgiapod. Show us some love. Share us with your friends. Also, go to Spotify. Give us a 5-star rating if you like, but also follow our Nostalgia Best of 2022 playlist where we'll be updating that with all the songs that we like from this year, even if they're not Grammy nominated. Dave, we wrapped up last week's show with the Grammys, and here we are starting this week's show talking about the nominations that we got. Just general overall vibes about the nominations. Good, bad, in between.
I say in line with expectations overall. If you look at the big categories, all those big names are in fact there. Nothing really too shocking, right? And of course, those names would be Adele, Beyonce, Kendrick, Harry Styles, Bad Bunny. All of them got into Album of the Year as expected. And then other people that we expected to be in the next tier pretty likely as well, like ABBA and Brandy Carlisle and Lizzo, also an Album of the Year. So nothing's really that shocking right at the top there. I guess the most shocking thing would be you have Coldplay there again, 2 albums in a row. And then Mary J. Blige kind of coming out of nowhere, definitely one we didn't see coming. That's like the big shock. You know, Mary J. Blige first like solo Grammy nomination since the 2000s, been a long time. But yeah, that's like the big shock at the top. No Taylor Swift read Taylor's version, but weren't necessarily positive that would happen either. But yeah, I mean, more likely than not, it was in line with expectations.
Yeah, that was pretty much my takeaway as well. Mary J. Blige definitely a shock to me. Also we talked last week about like our wish list, so to speak, of some of the artists that we wanted to see get some love, and you know, definitely not very excited about the best new artist group. Out of I think all the artists that we were talking about being hyped to see get some love. I don't know. Lotto, I guess.
That's it.
Who are we excited for in that category, really?
Yeah, so as we noted, best new artist, this was not a year with like some big names.
Yeah.
The past few years, the winners have been true A-listers: Dua, Megan, Billy, and Olivia Rodrigo. We didn't have anyone of that stratosphere easy nominee, easy win. So thus, it opens it up to be more interesting category. And in a sense, it is interesting because it's not nearly riddled with the star factor. That's cool, I guess. But me personally, I don't really love any of these people. I like Lotto fine. But like, I was just kind of struck with the people that weren't in Best New Artist. Like, I thought Zach Bryan, young upstart country star, I thought he was a lock in there. No dice, even though he did get a country like song nomination in the genre categories. Joji, very surprisingly, not there. I thought off the strength of Glimpse of Us, that was pretty safe. Alas, it didn't happen. Other stuff that I would have liked to see, but we didn't think was safe, like Fireboy DML or Snail Mail or Little Sims, no dice. 2 years in a row, they've snubbed Rina Sawayama. I can't believe it.
Unbelievable. Yeah, it feels like they're almost like making them wait another year, which is just silly. And I just saw those names and I was like, well, I feel like you lost quite a few people, especially no K-pop love this year, or very little that I saw.
Yeah.
Just
BTS My Universe with Coldplay is like the only thing.
it felt like the Grammys kind of went back to being the Grammys, just being like, these are our artists, these are the people we ride for. We're kind of finding the people that we think you should be listening to. Like the Mary J. Blige album. I mean, sure, I'm sure it's a perfectly fine album, but really, like, we needed to give Mary J. Blige this love right now when we could be highlighting some younger artists or
Yeah.
some up and coming art. It just doesn't really make sense
Right.
to do it in terms of what the Grammys are as a show right now. It just feels
Totally.
short-sighted.
Yeah, I'd say like on the other side of that coin, you do have Bad Bunny in Album of the Year, which like had to happen. But Bad Bunny also did get pop solo performance for Moscow Mule. That is nice to see him in a non-genre category outside of Album of the Year. That is cool, I suppose. But yeah, I mean, we're still not seeing the widespread love for reggaeton and Afrobeat and K-pop the way we want to. It's still not happening.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, there are other categories where it looks like there's, just clear step backwards, step forward, I would say. If you look at some of the rock categories, you have Turnstile represented, which is one of those like very ascendant hardcore bands right now, one of the most talked about, that, but also popular like rock bands of recent time that aren't super mainstream. Those are pretty inspired nominations, I would say. Of course, in rock album, you do have Machine Gun Kelly's second rock album, Mainstream Sellout. Honestly, it just gives me a chuckle, honestly, to see him break through with his lesser rock album compared to his first one. But I mean, rap was a clear step back in terms of best rap album. That was, I mean, I'm always prepared for disappointment given the history of best rap album, but I mean that really failed to meet my low expectations. Good grief.
Yeah, I was completely like disappointed with the rap album, and then, honestly, just to even circle back, like I thought there were some nice nominations in rock. I was really happy to see the like the War on Drugs get a nomination. Although for best rock song, I mean, no one's saying Harmonia's Dream is the best rock song of the year. Sorry. And it was also nice to see the nomination for The Devil on the Sofa from Spoon.
Yes,
That was cool.
definitely.
But you look at like best rock performance, right? It's all old heads except for Idols and Turnstile, which Turnstile is a pretty cool nomination. But yeah, most of this I was just kind of like, yeah, this is just same as they ever was with the Grammys. But yeah, talk to me about rap. I mean, what happened here?
Yeah, so there were two that seemed really, really safe, right? Kendrick and Pusha T. Kendrick's gonna win. They're both in there. I was thinking Freddie Gibbs was safe because he got nominated last time. He didn't get in. Pretty shocking.
Ridiculous.
I thought Jid was pretty safe as well, given how populist that album was. He's in those big circles. He's on a major label. He's been featured on Imagine Dragons songs. He has the awareness, and the Forever Story gets completely snubbed there. I mean, it's really tough to see, you know. Other people that I didn't necessarily think were locks, but I mean, there's great candidates, right? Like Vince Staples and Black Thought. But no, you get Future, which Future doesn't shock me. That was a big record. But they'll also have Jack Harlow and DJ Khaled in there. God did. The God Did album is ass. Like, people know that, But, like, total Khaled love, right? You have God Did and fucking Song of the Year? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, it's completely ridiculous. I couldn't believe it, honestly, when I first saw it, because I was like watching the Grammys tweet it out and seeing the nominations, and when I saw that they had Harlow and him, I was like, man. And then Future, I just was like, this is fucking bullshit, dude. Like, you have maybe one or two good albums in here. I mean, the
Yeah,
Pusha
two.
album, I'm glad, but Kendrick also, like, maybe Kendrick's weakest album in his last like 3 or 4. So
Yeah.
it's just like a bit of a slog. And even looking at like rap song, like what's the song there that you're really excited for? The Heart Part 5? Just Kendrick?
I
Just gonna run these
guess.
categories? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely uninspired, right? Like, a future Drake Thames song, big hit, fine, I'm okay with that. Gonna Push and P, fine, okay with that. God Did, no. Jack and Drake, Churchill Downs, no. Like, I just, there's just so much choice. I hate when they get stuff so wrong like this. It's really unacceptable. Surprisingly, Nicki Minaj, Super Freaky Girl, after all the controversy of what category it would be in, doesn't even get nominated in any category. Kind of funny. But yeah, like, look at melodic rap performances. Like, oh, another Khaled song.
Mm-hmm.
First Class, shocker. Lotto, Big Energy. I'd root for that song, honestly. But rap performance has, by far, the surprise of the rap nominees, which would be GloRilla, FNF, out of nowhere. One of the biggest, most surprising viral rap songs of 2022, have the Grammys actually be on the ball in that manner, nominating a brand new female rapper from Memphis. That's actually like insane, and that's what we'd love to see in the Grammys post nominating committees era, you know. But the fact that the same year they nominate GloRilla is the year they completely over nominate DJ Khaled, it's just like it's both ways. It sucks.
It's always like 2 steps forward, 3 steps back with the
Yep.
Grammys. It's really unbelievable. Just a few other cool nominations I thought, going back to rock. Yeah, yeah, yeah is getting some love. They got for Best Alternative Music Performance with Perfume Genius for Spitting Off the Edge of the World, as well as Best Alternative Music Album.
First nomination for Perfume Genius as well.
So that I thought that was pretty cool. And yeah, just I mentioned at the top when I was introducing you, but Taylor, she got her 4 nominations, man. She still got 4 nominations at these Grammys. She's a machine. Even in the year she's not really producing her top tier stuff. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Is this going to be one of those years where pretty much like the different like genre categories are just run by different things? Like Beyonce's going to win all the like dance, like stuff.
Adele will win the traditional pop stuff.
Exactly. Yep. Kendrick's probably going to run the rap. It seems like Mary J. Blige might run the R&B, honestly.
Right. You'd have to imagine.
Rock is the only one that seems up in the air, but that's because there's no album from that nominated for Album of the Year.
And what's interesting about it, though, is, of course, we've pegged this rightfully as the Adele versus Beyonce rematch, the showdown with the big categories. But there is a lot of star power at the top with Bad Bunny, but especially Harry and Kendrick. Kendrick with a lot of Grammy history as well. Plenty of opportunity for spoiler, Beyonce looking for that first Album of the Year win. She's with like 1 win, she'll pass Quincy Jones and have the most Grammy wins ever. She's already up there with the nominations, but she doesn't have like the really big hardware, and that's what this year's about for her. But there's plenty of people that could take it away,
Yeah. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm looking forward to it though. If you're watching on YouTube, comment below on who you think got most snubbed at this. I'm interested to see the takes that people had. Dave, overall, like, any last thoughts on this?
Yeah, I'd say overall I'm still more happy than not. I mean, Steve Lacy got pretty healthily nominated, which is awesome to see. Bad Habit as well as Gemini Writes the Album getting recognized. I like to see that. Yeah, so I mean, I've certainly seen worse Grammy slates, Of course, we have the expected baffling like eligibility stuff. Doja Cat's Woman getting nominated a few times when it came out in June 2021, thus shouldn't be eligible. Jasmine Sullivan has a Hotels bonus track. Same thing, came out before this Grammy period. I don't understand it. And when people explain it to me, it's not convincing. But Grammy's get a Grammy.
Yeah, it's they always seem to somehow put their foot in their mouth. So they're never going to change, and we love them for that. Anyways, let's talk about some new music that'll be in the next Grammy cycle. We're going to be starting with Christine and the Queens. Yeah, Christine Queens is a group, or I guess an artist, as we're talking about.
Yeah,
Heloise Letitia, who I think we've really appreciated their work, and I think as we've talked about on a few of our end of year podcasts, there are moments when Christine and the Queens really captures us and is really impressive music wise. But I think we've kind of been waiting for that one project that really like blows us away, or at least I feel like I have.
Yeah,
like an up and coming name, but waiting for them to really establish themselves. Do you feel like on this newest album, boy, good luck reading this one. Redcar, Les Adorables Étoile. I think I nailed that.
I want to pronounce it like with Spanish, like Adorables Étoiles, but it's not. It's French.
It's definitely French for sure. Do you feel like Christine and the Queens has finally established himself?
Yeah, that's a great question. As you alluded to, we both loved People I've Been Sad, one of her 2020 singles off that La Vida Nuovo EP. But this is the third Chris album, first one since 2018's Chris. So I think there was a lot of hype and anticipation for this, though, because Christine and the Queens has gotten even more awareness as an artist like this can, not a mainstream artist, not making, you know, populist stuff at all, but through an association with people like Carolyn Polachek and Charlie XCX, getting an awareness on the internet in these more avant-garde pop spaces. So there was a lot of people looking for Redcar, I would imagine, and I certainly was. But man, I really struggle with this album, to be honest. There was a few moments, but it's not about the language barrier because she's was he sang in French and Italian on the last one, but it has nothing to do with that. It's just I just found this one a bit formless, a bit uh tough to grasp. Honestly, not that the songs are the same, but the feeling I had reminded me of Perfume Genius's last album, which
Yeah.
felt very high concept but almost impossible to grasp. So while I appreciated the listen of Redcar, I had a hard time really getting into it.
So I had a similar experience, and that is actually interesting to hear you mention Perfume Genius because I think I didn't feel like it was quite to the level of Perfume Genius's last album, but I think the vibe overall reminds me of Perfume Genius's last couple albums. Um, and I think there's some really great songs on here, but then a few that just felt a little bit listless and a little bit like I don't know if uninspired is the right way to say it. I guess maybe just like undercooked a little bit. Like I was waiting for some sort of flourish at the end to really like drive something home, really like take it to the next level, and it never really quite did that for me. I think the songs I tended to really like gravitate towards were the ones where I felt like her or his vocal performance was really like capturing me. Like the second song, "Tu say Quila me fall." I totally
Mhm.
butchered that. I apologize for my French. Not a French speaker over here. Um, I mean, Heloise is just absolutely ripping it on that song, and the drums are driving that, and there's this like passion and this energy behind it. And
Mhm.
I'm like, oh, this is exactly what I was hoping for. Really set me up to think the rest of the album is going to be that way. And you know, just a few songs later, Ryan Dyer, I felt like I wanted to fall asleep and just start skipping through. So it was definitely up and down for me. I'm glad that
Yeah.
you felt the same. Tell me about the moments you liked.
Yeah, so I enjoyed towards the end Looking for Love, one of the few English titled ones. I think the drum tempo on that was a welcome change of pace.
Hmm.
Some of the other Christine the Queen's music is a bit more pop leaning, and Redcar really gets away from that and is more about this like kind of grand operatic build. It's very much in concert with the live performances he's been up to over in Europe, which have been getting pretty strong reviews for the kind of extravagance that they're bringing out to the live show, experience. But just as like an album, I don't know if it translates that well. But Looking for Love, I enjoyed, and also toward even after that, Combien de Temps, I thought was pretty good
Yeah.
as well. Just because like some of those moments, like, they kind of grab you because they just sound like they have more personality and like energy than some of the other stuff. And like I have a hard time sitting with these kind of like long building albums that don't have those flourishes, as you said. They don't have that like those like flash pan moments that really grab you and bring you back in to the listen. So yeah, definitely unfortunately disappointing to me.
I agree with the two that you shouted out. Looking for Love and Combien de Temps, I thought was great. I love the like jazzy piano on Combien de Temps that kind of like runs throughout the whole song. I feel like that'd be a really cool song to see live. Um, but yeah, overall, I feel like we're still kind of waiting for that Christine album that's gonna just totally propel him to stardom. And I mean, we know that he has it in him. So
Yep.
looking forward to it. I'm sure we're gonna get it at some point. But let's keep it moving, Dave, to our friend Wizkid. Wizkid dropping his newest album
Hmm.
this past weekend, and somebody that I feel like we've been talking more and more about. And I think we've had a few features from him, some high profile features
Oh yeah.
recently, and I think it just in terms of the overall like African music scene, which is obviously growing, as you mentioned during our Grammys discussion. he's someone to be on the lookout for, and someone that I think we're very excited to see where they're going. But this newest album, I gotta say, I didn't love it. I similar
Hmm.
to the last album we talked about, Christine and the Queen's album. I felt like there were moments where it felt very samey, very redundant, and just overall felt long. Did you have the same experience?
Yeah, yeah, I did. I didn't really care for this new Wizkid album, More Love, Less Ego, his fifth album, first since 2020's Made in Lagos, which was the biggest album of his career. And Made in Lagos, I think that was like a really like watershed moment for Wizkid as an artist. Like obviously, non-Afro beats fans know Wizkid through the Drake feature, One Dance, Back on Views, one of the biggest songs of Drake's career, largely thanks to Wizkid kind of legitimizing Drake's foray into Afrobeat and dancehall and whatnot at that time. But Wizkid himself is, the best-selling Nigerian artist of all time. He's a very significant figure, and I was definitely anticipating this because we had missed the last album, and especially as an artist like Burna Boy, his fellow Nigerian, has really, I think, shined critically the past few years. I was anticipating hearing what Wizkid would be up to as Afrobeats has really expanded further into the West. And I think with More Love, Less Ego, Wizkid's like very smooth on this, right? He's almost always incredibly smooth, but like you said, it has a really samey vibe. And this level of energy, this kind of silky R&B esque level of performing, it's like R&B music with Afrobeat rhythms and whatnot. Like it's just not my cup of tea. Just because like it doesn't really get me moving. Like it's not as big as some of my favorite Afrobeat songs are. And I didn't think Wizkid really brought enough to the table as a performer on this. It's not that it's bad; it sounds fine, but it just doesn't really wow you.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. It's not There's no wow factor, and in fact, probably the only like wow factor to me on this was a non Kid moment, which is wow, the song "Wow," where Skepta comes in, and it's just like a pure shot of adrenaline into this listless album,
Yeah,
and I
GQ
was
top five with no designer or whatever he says.
yeah, fucking incredible. And I really needed that getting through this album. I didn't mind Don Tolliver's
Hmm.
quick showing up, but also felt like that song had more potential and just kind of fell flat. Just even the drum beat, and like you said, it's obviously heavily Afro beat, and there's a specific style to this, but there's very little switching up. I think the only kind of time that I really felt like he was maybe exploring some different sounds, or things felt a little bit different was the Skepta song "Wow," and then the two of the first three songs, "Balance" and "Bad to Me." I thought it
Mm,
sounded a little bit different and a little bit more energized, but I found myself feeling pretty bored with this one overall.
yeah. Even like every day you have a Maya Angelou sample, if it, as it were, dropped in, but then WizKid just doesn't really go anywhere with it. I think the most interesting like sonic thing on More Love Less Ego would be Slip and Slide because it has the Shensia feature, the rising dancehall artist from Jamaica who we talked about surprisingly on the Calvin Harris album of all places.
Hmm.
I think that kind of idea of bringing Afrobeats with dancehall is fun and cool to hear that genre mash. And it's kind of like a brief moment on More Love, Less Ego that's like, oh, wait, this is something at least a little bit different, for a brief fleeting moment before it gets back to kind of WizKid just kind of chilling on this, honestly. So, yeah, definitely not my favorite. And I mean, it doesn't even compare to the Burna Boy albums of
No,
recent years. Not even close to me.
yeah, it's tough to have this kind of be in the same genre as Partner Boy. And I guess it's a little bit different. Like this is way more R&B, but man, it's just not nearly as exciting. So
Yeah.
tough to live up to Burner Boy though. Anyways, let's keep it moving to uh someone we were just talking about a little while ago, GloRilla, Grammy nominated. And now with her, is this second album? I guess.
Major label debut. It's debut EP. She has 2 other mixtapes not on streaming. It's come fast and furious for GloRilla. Really, just
Seriously.
2022, she exploded, and to get a Grammy nomination right as she's releasing her major label debut is pretty impressive.
And I think it makes the title of the album even more apt on a day like today to talk about it, because the title is anyways life's great, and it's great for our girl GloRilla because she's completely blowing up.
Mm-hmm.
Like you mentioned, Grammy nominated, first like major label debut, and a huge song with Cardi B. It's featured on this album, Tomorrow 2, which is on our
Mm-hmm.
Nostalgia Best of 2022 playlist, so check that out. I gotta say, like, I thought this was pretty good. I went in having only really heard the Tomorrow 2 song and maybe a few other tracks, and I was pretty impressed with GloRilla. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know if this is going to be like the project of her life, so to speak, but
I'd
for
hope
being a
not.
first major label debut, pretty impressive, I
Mm-hmm.
thought.
Yeah, no, I agree. And this arc has been pretty interesting and fun to follow because it's been so quick. Like, on one hand, how FNF blew up really speaks to how music can work these days, where she was teasing out snippets to the song before it was officially released, at the time really just kind of being known in that Memphis scene specifically, and to have that song really blow up and sustain throughout really the first half of 2022. And as it goes, her team really telling her to let that song go, don't flood the zone yet, be strategic with it. She was sitting on Tomorrow while FNF was going off, and she doesn't put it out, puts it out, and then very quickly gets the remix version, Tomorrow 2, with the staggering Cardi B feature. Cardi B just at her absolute apex of talking shit. uh, I think it's hilarious, the Cardi feature. Like, just the things she says as insults on that are so good. What is it like? She tell me she my op, but I don't know her. Had to look her up. Like, just so funny. But
Yeah.
GloRilla, through just a brief EP, over the course of this year, I think has like really established herself and her own identity with this music. I think one of the new songs on this EP, Nut Quick, really speaks to, I think, the appeal of an artist like her because, like FNF, GloRilla is very Memphis. She's very Southern.
Yes.
She's her and her friends, her girlfriends, they are ratchet as hell. That is their thing. That's why FNF in that video exploded, because they're just about it. They're very Memphis, and the fact that she got signed to Yo Gotti's CMG, staying in that Memphis circle, makes perfect sense. It's a perfect label fit for her. Really cool, and I think she really sustained that again with a new song like Nut Quick, and also a more introspective track like Out Loud Thinking, the final song on this EP. So, as we've been saying a lot, there's more and more female rappers, but I think GloRilla already has that kind of identity, specifically in that Memphis scene. And there's now like 4 or 5 legitimate GloRilla songs already. It hasn't been that long, so yeah, I think she's clearly going to be around a long time.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you mentioned that like very southern vibe. Even some of the ways that she delivers lines or says certain things reminds me a bit of Ti a little bit. Like she
Okay,
has this
yeah,
like drawl, this like deeper
definitely has a
register
draw for sure.
for sure, and just like this intimidating like feeling to her, which I really appreciate. She feels like she can go hard for sure. And even the songs I didn't think were like great, like a song like FNF, I thought was still fun. Like I found myself like really enjoying it. Um, and I think that that's a really good sign for her as a new artist, that even if she's not making like a top tier hit or like a really well crafted song, she can still
Hmm.
deliver something that's like fun to vibe to and bounce around to. You mentioned a few of the ones that were like stood out to you. I really also liked Get That Money with Nikki Poo.
Hmm.
I mean, just the overall vibe of that is great, but like I feel like her and Nikki Poo had decent chemistry as well. Nikki brings like a bit of a speedier delivery, but it's like they play off each other nice, and it has like an old school feel to it. It almost felt like something from like the 2000s bit to me.
Yeah, that's a good call. Yeah, I mean, Tomorrow too has been hanging on that like top 10 YouTube chart since it came out. It's there today. So she's definitely finding an audience, and I think she's in great hands with Yo Gotti, who is, we haven't talked about a lot of the CMG artists, definitely more street level stuff, but like Moneybagg Yo has become a huge rapper, and even people that aren't signed to Yo Gotti, like the late Young Dolph, like there is a huge appetite for Memphis rap the past 10 years, and I think she's just gonna slide right in and just very quickly become like one of the stars of that sub scene of Southern rap. So very exciting, and really hats off to the Grammys for recognizing the success of FNF and honestly nominating a brand new artist. Like that's actually really cool.
Completely agree. Sometimes they get it right. Anyways, we're gonna go from someone making their major label debut to somebody who is well established in this rap game. 49 years old, Nas dropping King's Disease 3. Dave, how does he do it? How does he fucking do it?
Album 16, baby. Let's
How?
go.
Like he sounds like he did like 20 years ago somehow. It's
I know.
crazy.
I mean, specifically, this Nas run is incredible. This is the fourth Nas album since 2020. The Three Kings Diseases, as well as the surprise album Magic, which came out on Christmas Eve 2021, which we didn't actually review because it's a terrible time to put out new music. But this run of Nas making 4 albums in a row with Hit Boy on the beats, like Nas just feels so refreshed and energized and as good as ever. Definitely as good as you can expect a OG rapper to sound. And I feel like we've been saying that a lot lately with the love we had for the Black Thought and Danger Mouse album. But Nas, I mean, I think really bringing it, and oh my god, I think like this run from Nas, these 4 albums in 2 years or 3 years, even makes the Kanye mishap with Nasir sound even worse in retrospect because of how much Nas still had in the tank.
Yeah.
And what a producer that was actually in sync with him pulled off in Hit Boy, Anyway, not to talk about that. Nas sounds great on King's Disease 3. Do you think this is a trilogy capper? You think he's gonna go with some new titles now? Because he's clearly not slowing down. He's gonna drop more shit.
Yeah, I was reading a few articles about it, and I saw someone like mention like, "Oh, this is a great cap to a trilogy," and I was like, I don't see why he would stop. Like if this is like a perspective that really inspires him, why not just keep going with it? It's hard to say, I think. But I was just digging this whole thing from front to back. I thought there wasn't really like a song I disliked on it. Maybe a few that sounded less in my zone than others, but man, that beginning from Ghetto Reporter through Michael and Quincy, I thought was just absolute fire. Just like completely
straight
4 for 4.
Yep, I totally agree. I love on Ghetto Reporter too. He kind of brings up the idea of like the King's Disease. He's like, yeah, we all get it eventually. However he puts it, and it's like, it's a good concept. Like Nas really sounds like at home in this kind of like elder statesman vibe, just kind of waxing poetic about stuff. And it really makes for good moments when he like on towards the end on First Time he's reflecting on like his beginnings and then like other people's like relationships with him or with other artists and stuff. Like it's actually like it's a cool way to approach just like his lyricism, but yeah, I agree. Ghetto Reporter legit, Thun and Michael and Quincy, just a lot of heat there. And like the Hit Boy beats are always very lively on these albums, and it just really sounds right at home on them. Michael and Quincy, I love the line, gang members got nothing on these congressmen, classic stuff right there. But yeah, I mean, like the flow's good almost throughout. I thought Recession Proof was probably my favorite flow from Nas, but honestly, like it's tough to like find like negatives to me across this whole album run. I kind of wish in hindsight we had talked about Magic specifically, because I thought that's actually like the best of these albums. Like that was like such a surprise, but like Nas was, I think, probably at his hardest of this run on Magic. This King's Disease 3 feels more in line with the other 2 King's Diseases most specifically, but not that that's a demerit at all. Like again, like there's just so much good shit on this.
I completely agree, and I think he's able to really span a lot of like different like themes on this. One of the songs that I don't think I'd go back to the most, but I was probably most impressed by was "Reminisce." He's a little more serious, a little more reflective about his life, people lost, where he's at in the moment, trying to be present with things. And I just was really like, man, he's really like in his bag on this, like able to
Mhm.
be thoughtful. I loved one of the first songs. I can't remember which one because I was listening to it in the car and wasn't able to write it down. But he starts just going through how he's from Queens and then talking about all the different neighborhoods, Brooklyn, Bronx, all of it. And I was
Yeah.
just loving that. He does that so seamlessly and makes such funny observations with it, but just kind of
Yeah.
like glides over it really
He's
well.
so authentic at the end of the
Yeah,
day,
you can
obviously.
feel that he's just like he's a Queens guy through and through. Then you get the the bonus track which
Mm.
uses that song that was the walkout for the closer, right? For Edwin Diaz.
Oh, fuck, I didn't even catch that. Yeah, the trumpet song, whatever
Yeah, the
it's called.
trumpet song. I don't know what
Yeah.
it is, but he was definitely using that
Timmy
for
trumpet?
that
Something
beat
like that?
and fucking awesome. Like I was like, yeah, this is how you know he's a Queens guy right here.
Right,
Totally
yeah,
with
that's a
it.
good point.
So
Yeah.
good shit all around. I mean, he's just ageless, man. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, and I think this has been a more common talking point the last few years, but hip hop hadn't had lots and lots of old heads reach 50, you know,
Hmm.
due to the relative newness of hip hop as a genre of music. But now we're getting to that point where we're hearing people go longer and longer, past what we previously had talked about as like the expiration date for rappers, right? And Black Thought and Nas and Jay-Z, yeah, they're not as good as they used to be, but we're hearing more and more artists still really bring it at these older ages. Killer Mike, of course, comes to mind as well.
Hmm.
So yeah, great for Nas. Obviously, he got his first Grammy win with King's Disease One. Got nominated again with King's Disease Two. I'd imagine King's Disease Three will probably find him right back up there for best rap album, and it really is well deserved because it's really hard to pick any holes in this one.
Completely agree. Again, check out our Nostalgia Best of 2022 playlist on Spotify. Definitely have a few songs from the people we talked about today. Dave, let's move to comedy now, where we're going to be talking about Lil Rel Howery. Um, I wasn't aware he was dropping a stand up special, but I do see that HBO has quite a few coming out. I know Chris Red has one that's I think dropping in a few weeks, and
That one's already out, I think. Yeah,
oh, it's already out. Okay,
yeah. You got a
so
Trevor Noah special coming out soon too.
it's funny because I was like, man, I feel like I am aware of Lil Rel Howery, but maybe not totally tuned in to his career. I mean, to me, he's the TSA agent friend from Get Out, right? That's who
Of
he is
course,
in my mind.
his literally
And
first film role, so it's not a bad place to have be a reference point.
not at all. But you look at the work he's done since then. A lot of voice work, cameos, and things.
Yeah,
He's working. Like
he's
he is
working.
busy, and so I think it's a good time to be talking about him. Although I gotta say, I don't know if this stand-up special was really something that for me is gonna like propel him to superstardom.
Yeah.
Like this is not Chris Rock level stuff.
No, no, I don't think so. And I hadn't seen his last HBO special from 2019 live at Crenshaw, so I don't have like a huge reference point for his stand up. He also was a starring role on the Carmichael Show. He played Gerard Carmichael's brother on that sitcom. Of course, the highly regarded but little watched Gerard Carmichael sitcom from a few years back. So he really, I think, has been like around for the comedy folks, but he's not traditionally like, or at least not like fully in that stand up thing. I think we would rightly associate him as an actor these days, right?
Yes.
Like the Free Guy. He had a really big supporting role alongside Ryan Reynolds. Last year. And like you said, just in general, he's working a lot. You know, um, and I think this I Said It, Y'all Thinking It special on HBO really kind of comes across as the like this is for me kind of thing. Like I don't think you would make this special if you're really trying to like propel yourself forward. Like this
Right.
clearly was like a homecoming type special recorded in his hometown of Chicago after he's made it,
Mhm.
and now he's like a hometown hero. And as you can tell, like by watching the special, like, he just rips right into just stream of conscious observations about his life and life in Chicago and just life as a aging parent and as an aging black person. I think it is relatable to a lot of people, but it doesn't really have like any like formal structure as a
Mhm.
special. Like he was just kind of just riffing and hanging out with his crowd who were clearly really into it.
Yeah, and you can tell that he's just trying to like get as much out of this experience as possible, just the way it ends. He doesn't really have like a closing joke or anything. He just kind of is standing there, and he even admits he's just taking it all in. And it in some ways it's very endearing. I think that's something about him is he has his laugh, but just like his overall vibe is just very
Yeah.
like kind but funny and definitely like sharp, but not in any way like offensive or abrasive. He's pretty palatable in almost everything he talks about, and even when he's like making these observations, I didn't feel like he ever made anything that could really like offend anybody or was gonna like turn anyone
Mm.
off. A lot of it's just kind of like, yeah, kids these days, like they
Right.
aren't that great. I don't really understand like why some girls like the boys that they like. It's like, yeah, I agree. Sure. I don't know. Who's gonna argue with that, I guess.
Yeah, I guess the prickliest thing he probably talks about would be Will Smith, Chris Rock at the Oscars.
Yes.
But even there, like he doesn't really go in a anywhere you wouldn't have thought. I think at this point, like the battle lines have been drawn on that conflict, and people know the various viewpoints at this point. He doesn't really shed any new ground there, which is fine. Like I thought he was kind of funny talking about it. I think for me, the funniest thing he was probably talking about was when he was just basically shitting on kids
Yeah.
and like his relationship to both his kids, but also like the kids in the orbit of his kids, stuff like
Mhm.
that. Like that was probably funny, the funniest stuff to me. But yeah, I think again, like I like him as an actor. I think he brings his acting appeal into the special at times. He's really good at delivering like a high pitched voice, and
Yes.
like it's a part of his laugh as well. And he can bring that into his comedy when he does like impressions and stuff, you know. But
Mhm.
ultimately, like yeah, I think this was just kind of a vibe, and
It's
I like Lil Rel, but I don't know if I love him as a stand
a
up,
stand
which is
up.
totally fine. He's an actor.
And it's interesting to see him drop this weekend, and then to have Chappelle doing SNL and basically getting to do like a 10 to 15 minute stand up routine at the top of the show where
Mm,
he's pretty offensive, at least to certain people. He definitely is controversial. Comments on Kanye and on Jewish people. It's just such a stark contrast. And
yeah.
it just I think really even highlighted more for me how Lil Rel, this was a pretty safe thing, and just I think like you said something for him. I agree with you on the commentary about the kids. I thought that was definitely my favorite, as well as I like the Chris Rock stuff just because I had the same thought when I watched it. Like, why did he just like stick his face out? Like just really had no belief that it was ever going to happen to him.
You just gotta stand there rubbing it, pretend it doesn't hurt.
So good. Um. Anyways, let's move forward from Lil Rel because I don't have much more to say, and onto something I think we have a lot to talk about, which is Atlanta season 4 wrapping up, as well as the series wrapping up.
Yeah,
It's over, man.
it's
Atlanta,
over.
maybe one of the like most influential television, but I think just overall like media projects of our lifetimes, I'd say. Is
Yeah.
that is that a fair assessment?
Oh, I would say so. I think it's clearly like a pantheon series
Mhm.
and had a really big impact on television, specifically what can be achieved in the 30-minute traditional half-hour format that is associated with comedies. Like Atlanta really spun that on its head. And it's not just that it was like transgressive or surprising all the time. It was also really great all the time. It's not just like a participation medal, thanks for being different kind of thing. It was also awesome, but you also didn't know whatever was going to happen. And the fact that after such a long delay, 2018 to now, it comes back for 2 seasons and now it's just gone. It's over. It's done. Which of course makes a lot of sense given where Glover and Beats and Tyree Henry and Stanfield are in their careers. It makes sense that they're not going to keep doing the show anymore. But I mean, it's kind of a magical run, and I think the way season 4 went, start to finish, really actually makes me appreciate the confusion that we had at times with season 3, which was the most difficult to grasp at times season of Atlanta. But the fact that they were able to bring it home, bring the whole series home the way they did with season 4, of course, going back to Atlanta after season 3 is set in Europe, like, man, like they just really nailed it. And yeah, it has a certified legacy as a series, no question.
Yeah, I think you said it well. Um, to me, I mean, Atlanta's always going to be just. I think one of the ways that black creators really were able to take control of what they were doing, and that's been one of the themes of the last like 5 6 7 years in film and television. We have so many more talented black creators who are getting opportunities to do the work that they want to do. You think
Hmm.
about Barry Jenkins, Steve McQueen. We're going to be talking about Ryan Coogler in a little bit, but Donald Glover, this this guy was kind of just like a punchline rapper and
Yeah,
a comedian and a goof, and seemed like that was just going to kind of be who he was. Really just brought to life this amazing show. And I don't want to get too far into what the show is overall means before we talk about season 4, because i
yeah.
think i think we deserve to kind of get into it. And man, I mean, where would this rank for you in terms of Atlanta seasons? I mean, I think 3 is probably people's last, just because it's a little bit less less formed, a little bit more just kind of like all over the place. But man, I think this is probably, I don't know, 2 for me.
After season 2.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so. Honestly, like some of the best episodes of Atlanta are in season 4.
Mhm.
Like they just know exactly what they're trying to achieve, and they really nail it. Like you said, like Atlanta got a lot of attention for just like seeing Donald Glover and Stephen Glover and Stephanie Robinson and Hiro Murai, seeing that creative quartet bring something so unexpected to the fore that is also about the black experience, specifically like how black people feel about how they are perceived like in society, and it's such a granular show, but it still really knows how to like surprise you with how it gets to its comments, and the fact that like they were able to pull off this with FX and really get them to allow them to go this route. It's not what you expect. It's not about Paperboy grinding with his rap career,
Mhm.
Earn trying to make ends meet as a manager of an upstart rapper. It's not about that, you know? And I think a lot of people would love to see more of that kind of stuff too. Like they're like the nitty gritty Atlanta plot, but like it's not that kind of show. And it's able to, I think, really like wow you and move you with what it does instead of being the more conventional comedy plot.
Completely. And I think that that's highlighted in just how like creative these episodes are. Like, I think about work ethic, right? Where you have Zazie Beats with the young actress. I forgot the young actress's name, but playing Lottie, their
Oh
child,
yeah, you
earning
finally see
the
Lottie,
dance.
right? Now that
I
she's aged up a bit.
and she's with her mom on set. Van is taking an acting job as like a even though like fifth or sixth person in
Yeah,
the scene, and
right.
just to kind of make a little extra money. And Lottie starts stealing the show and gets kind of thrown into this like system. And obviously you have
Mr. Chocolate.
Mr. Chocolate just coming over the intercom every once in a while with these suggestions and quips. But I just thought it was so thoughtful and well crafted in how, like, not only as is it obviously playing on the Willy Wonka esque nature of Mr. Chocolate and just like
Hmm.
this setup in general, but then it's just like how you immediately start thinking about the whole child acting
Yeah,
world and how fucked up that system is, and this like mother who's just trying to protect her daughter, and like the way that Mr. Chocolate confronts her, like all of that stuff. And then of course you have Donald Glover playing this weirdo in this,
yeah,
fat suit, and it's fucking hilarious too. Like
right.
he's great, and it's like you just get everything that this show does so well, and you just would never think of something like that. You just would never think of it.
On
It's just
top of
incredible.
all that, it's a riff on Tyler Perry
Yep,
movies and how
exactly.
they interface with broader Black culture and how it's consumed by Black people and what it's saying about that. There's so much going on once again
Yeah,
with
when
that.
Mr. Chocolate says to her like, "You are a Mr. Chocolate like girl" or whatever it is, like
Right.
he frames her as one of the characters, and it's just so well done. Another one that I thought was great was Born to Die, right? Where you have, or sorry, light skinned Ed. I want to talk about Born to Die too,
Yep.
but how light skinned Ed, sets
Amazing.
sets Earn right into this world with his family again, which you don't typically get to see him interacting with his family, but it puts him in church, has him interacting with his parents, like their family dynamics and all
Yep.
that stuff. You get to see his dad at the mall talking
Yeah.
with the
Isaiah
hat and
Whitlock
everything.
Jr. Amazing.
Incredible. And it's just like you take this pretty simple setup in a way. Ernest's going to church with his mom, and it just goes in so many different directions and has so many funny moments, and it's like you just never would expect it to work on so many different levels, and it always has something more to say, but you can also just kind of watch it and just like enjoy
Mhm.
the like ridiculousness of the situations.
Yeah,
His aunt in that episode was so fucking funny, dude.
I know.
Like, ask him where he is. And then when the grandpa's like, "I'm in Egypt," and she's like, "What did he say?" Like, oh my god, it's so good. Freak down. Oh man,
We've
I
been here for
love
2 weeks.
that. So good, man. What were the episodes that stood out to you most?
God, honestly, I love them all.
Mhm.
Like how we talked about work ethic, I think kind of a similar commentary is found in episode 8, The Goof Who Sat by the Door, where
Yeah.
you get the return of the fictional television broadcaster BAN, of course.
Mhm.
BAN, one of the signature episodes of season 2, featuring Alfred. This time around, it's an episode like a season 3. We don't see any of our core cast, and it's framed as a documentary, a fictional documentary about a black animator who rises to become the CEO of Disney, and the journey, the rise and the fall of this figure, Washington something. He is actually like a parable for greater society and how certain people are treated. And I was like, wow, like the fact that they can like just kind of pull off something like that that's so abstract but also so pointed and specific about what's actually trying to say. And of course it's done in such an awesome way where it comes across as a very convincing documentary with talking heads and archival footage. It's like pretty awesome, pretty spectacular.
Man, they get fucking Brian McKnight and Sinbad to just hop on for like a few lines here and there and just deliver some of the most ridiculous stuff. Um, when he was saying that they were having like he was just having random people come up to his Thomas Washington CEO office, and it was like we were up there with like Michael Jordan and like Rick James and stuff, and it's just so ridiculous. Like this guy who's making a goofy movie, but just like this rise to power. And this has been pointed out. This is one of the episodes I think has gotten the most attention from this season, not only for its uniqueness and its pointedness, like you said, but also because this was the third to last episode, and they just were like, we're gonna do something that has nothing to do with any of the characters involved in this show, and it's such a swing and such a choice, and it fucking crushed it. So inventive.
Hmm.
But how it kind of mirrors Sam Greenlee's novel The Spook Who Sat by the Door, and then the
Hmm.
film adaptation, just so creative and thoughtful. I thought that one was fantastic and so funny. Like it's just so ridiculous to see, but also the way that they talked about the Goofy movie and how that relates to the struggles of black people in America and black families. It's
Yeah, Black
really
Fatherhood.
thoughtful,
Yeah.
completely surprising. Um, we talk about these like these episodes that feel so out there and unexpected, but then you do get some more down to earth ones like Snipe
Hmm.
Hunt, where
Yeah. Oh
you
my
just have
gosh.
Ern and Van and Lottie out in the woods, and
Camping.
yeah, camping, parenting, trying to figure out what their relationship is, what their life's gonna be. You get maybe the best Donald Glover acting moment of the whole show with
Yeah.
his speech to Van at the end of the episode where he's crying and really pouring his heart out to her and explaining why he loves her and why he wants to be with her. Thought that was completely moving. I thought him and Zazie Beetz just completely
Yeah.
crushed this episode.
Totally. And I feel like it's also a nice like callback or like bookend to I believe it was episode 2 where Ern goes to therapy
Mhm.
and is kind of like letting the audience in on a little bit of other aspects of Ern's life that obviously we haven't seen on screen because it's not that kind of show. But the things he's talking about and like opening up about, you kind of get that. I won't say wrapped up, but you kind of get that answered in an episode like Snipe Hunt, and even episode like, episode like Snipe Hunt where he's like trying to go to LA and like
Yeah,
take the next step forward in his life, but he doesn't want to leave behind his daughter, and he wants to kind of reconcile with the mother of his daughter. You know, I think it's really moving because you know who these characters are, and you've been with them for such a long time that it's kind of fulfilling to see that kind of narrative arc, come up and close. I think in that kind of manner.
completely. And you get these narratives that run through the show, but even through the season, right? So you had the Crank That Killer in there
So
was just
fucking
six
funny, man.
episode. So hilarious, just the overall like idea, but then like also incredibly like intense and action filled when with the shootout in the mall and everything. I thought that was fantastically
The
done.
shoe man.
Yes. But then how that that idea of the Crank That Killer leads Alfred
Yeah.
to get this safe farm, you
Safe
know,
farm. Safe
and
farm is
then
there.
that plays out in the penultimate episode with
Yep.
Andrew Waith at Alfred's world, and he's on the safe farm and literally having to crawl and scrape and kill a wild hog with his bare hands just to survive. And I thought it was not only a really well directed episode,
Oh yeah.
but you
Gorgeous.
obviously get Tyree Henry just completely showing out here. And I thought this episode was great, not only because you had the interactions between Paperboy and
The shop owner.
the shop owner, which were just like I mean
You're gonna
so
buy it on Amazon, aren't you?
it was
That's
so
what saves his
tense.
life later. Amazon
Yeah,
skillet.
incredible. Just so good, but then also just the overall like themes of it I thought were really fascinating, especially for a penultimate episode and kind of following the like overall arc of Alfred as a character. I thought was great.
Totally. It's also getting a nice nod to, I believe, season 2 again, where you have that one where Alfred's like walking in the woods and it's like calling back to like his family past. If I remember
Hmm.
right. Like, yeah, it was awesome. Um, episode like Crank That Killer, episode 3, Born to Die. Those both
Yes.
feel right at home as just like classic, like titular Atlanta episodes where you have the humor and out there level of comedy and humor that we associate with this show. In the case of Born to Die, it's kind of dueling banjos where you have Donald Glover on this like journey to find D'Angelo to bring him into his work, and his business. And on the same side, other side, you have Al perhaps grappling with his status as an aging rapper and then trying to fulfill himself by finding a aspiring
YWA.
white kid, a YWA, to be his was a white young avatar
Yep.
to get money via a white kid who's stealing the culture. God damn, that was so fucking good.
So good. Fucking having Yodel Kid go that hard throughout the
R.I.P.
episode.
Yodel Kid, man.
And it starts off so just like okay, he's in the studio with these like kind of young losers and you're like
Right.
whatever.
Rich
And
kids in the studio, rich white kids, yeah.
and then it just turns out where like it fucking comes all the way around by the end. Yodel Kid overdosing at the Grammys. Man, winning the Grammy after that, so fucking funny, so well done. And you mentioned the D'Angelo part, man. I thought that was just so clever, and you kind of wonder where it's gonna go, and then having that like conversation between Earn and the D'Angelo, like, I don't know, placeholder.
Watcher, keeper, whatever that
Yeah,
role was of that society he learned about.
yeah, and just kind of talking about, like, this is an experience. Like, D'Angelo is he's a experience. He's not a person. Like, that sort of thing. I just thought was really good, and kind of like, I think obviously D'Angelo, as you think about his place in culture now, is kind of like that, because so revered but not really like actively working, kind of similar to Prince in a way, right? Like, maybe you
Mm,
think of Prince a lot, how Prince was always kind of like this mysterious figure who felt larger than life, and so like untouchable in so many ways. Thought that was really great. I wanted to ask you though, as we wrap up our conversation about season 4, what'd you think of It Was All a Dream, the final episode?
yeah, honestly, I loved it. I think once again, it's very Atlanta to have a finale that doesn't get swept up in the fact that it's the final episode. Like it sounds simple, but it's honestly really smart to just be with these characters again, being themselves. I love how we're with everyone, and we actually have a lot of Darius in this, and like you have the is he in the dream? Is he in the was it the depth state?
the
Whatever his
the depth tank.
depth
The
tank, yes, and that starts becoming a loop. And then at the end they don't tell us if Darius saw thick Judge Judy or not. They just let it go, because again, that's not the point of the show.
Right. It's so funny, the thick Judge Judy thing, but then how that like finally like plays out in the episode when you finally see Judge Judy, and how he keeps waking up and having the Inception like ending. I was like, man, this
Oh
is,
yeah,
I never would have expected that, but it's such a great way to end it. And of course you have the really tense moment where you have Van and Alfred and Ern at this black owned sushi restaurant, not
yeah,
wanting to eat this poison sushi, not trusting that it's prepared right and that they're
the
gonna die,
blowfish.
and them being confronted by the store owner, and then you just have Darius coming out of
Right,
nowhere to save the day. What a fucking moment, and what like a great like way to end the show with them all just like driving that pink Corvette. I was like, man,
totally. And
so
again,
fucking
it's
done.
it's like the Mr. Chocolate stuff, where it's like you have this juxtaposition between this black owned like sushi fusion dish with the Popeyes across the street. And at the end, when Darius rescues them, quote unquote, and they're in the pink whip, they're eating Popeyes,
Yep.
you know? And like it's kind of an awesome microcosm for like
Yep.
everything we love about Atlanta as a show. So I'm already sad it's gone, but
Me too.
I love these four so much, and they have been winning, all of them. Like Lakeith smashed it in Judas and the Black Messiah. Brian Tyree Henry's been an amazing supporting character recently.
Hmm.
Donald Glover, we know he has carte blanche to make whatever he wants, so we're eagerly awaiting what that is. And Zazie as well has been a strong supporting role character recently too. So can't wait to see what's next for them. But also, how about Hiro Murai? He hasn't
Oh
been
yeah.
super active outside of this show. He's been up around here and there. Stephanie Robinson's been doing tons of stuff, of course, very involved in what we do in the shadows. She'll be a comedy force for a long time. But Hiro, who knows what's up his sleeve.
I hope whatever it is, he's continues collaborating with Donald Glover, because they seem to really have
Right.
something there creatively, which is great. Yeah, I mean those five, right? Donald Glover, Lakeith, Tyree, Zazie, Hero are and I guess Stephen Glover too, because he was so involved with the writing, and then Stephanie Robinson as well. So I guess those like 6 or 7 are like the
Yeah.
ones that are going to be remembered for this show, and just created this amazing thing. I wanted to ask you, like, what are the episodes do you think about Atlanta that you're always going to come back to?
Teddy Perkins
Yeah.
immediately comes to mind. Gosh, though, there's just so many, and even like season three. Like season three has some wild moments. Like the
Hmm.
stuff with Alexander Skarsgård comes to mind at the end there. The
Amazing.
stuff when they go to that rich person's home in
Juneteenth.
Europe. No.
Oh,
Juneteenth's obviously a
sorry.
Hall of Famer, but then in season 3, when they go to that, Al goes to like the poker game. Remember at
Oh
the
yeah,
yeah,
yep.
whatever that one's called. That one was great. Like, I mean, season 1, season 2, like there's just so much shit,
Mhm.
like Alligator Man and the stuff with
The barber
the stuff with
shop, Champagne Poppy when they go to Drake's
oh my
house.
god, yes,
Dude, so good. Moneybag Shorty, like that. That's
Darius' character.
yeah,
Oh my god.
yeah.
No, sorry, not Darius. Oh, what's his name? The guy who gives Earn credit cards that are skimmed. What's his name?
Oh fuck, I
He comes
forgot.
back in the beginning of season 4.
I know. Oh, man, I'm
You know what I
forgetting.
mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like
Man,
his stuff was great. There's just so much shit. Honestly, like there's
so
so
much
much to,
shit.
like there's so much to look back on about it. Like that's what I mean. Like the breadth that this show accomplished as a 30-minute comedy series is like just doesn't compare to anything else.
Yeah, it's one of a kind, and I think as we talk about more shows that are going to be hits in the future, kind of in this vein, it's going to be one that we consistently are referencing back to as an influence and something that just totally reshapes television, hopefully, and create creativity in this realm. So, man, like you said, sad to see it go. Um, who do you think is like the big winner from this? Because all like those four, their star has all completely propelled forward. Would you say it's Donald Glover, or do you think someone else might have come out more on top?
It's a great question. I say it all the time. It's the best thing Donald Glover's ever done.
Yep.
But he had a lot of attention already. He had a lot of chances and opportunities. And Lakeith was in
Yes.
Short Term 12. He wasn't out of nowhere as an actor. I think Brian Tyree Henry is the biggest like riser
Yeah.
out of all of these because he really just ascended himself into like one of the greatest living actors off the
Mhm.
back of this show, and is now seeing the roles across film as well. So he's probably like the biggest like winner from his personal life. But yeah, I mean, I guess like Donald probably rises above all else just because of his kind of unique place in the culture as a creative force that
Mhm.
came a long way from his early 2010s life as a aspiring rapper and community bit player. So you
Yeah.
probably should say Donald, but to me, Tyree Henry is like this out of this world, like where he came from to getting to this level.
Yeah. I think to that point, his biggest role was on Broadway in The Book of Mormon. To that,
That's right. Yeah,
so
original cast, I believe.
yeah, so he's for a screen completely. I'd say he's the biggest riser. Don Glover probably biggest winner, but Lakeith, I mean, man, uh, he's he's everywhere, and he's out of
Yep.
all these characters, I'm trying to think if any of them have been solo stars in a movie the way that he was with
Sorry to bother you.
Sorry to
That's a good
Bother
point.
You, where
Yeah.
he just completely owned that, and that was a I thought really well done movie. So
Yeah. Oscar nominated for Judas.
yeah, we're not even talking about Zazie, who I think for black females acting right now is probably at the top of most people's lists of who they want
Yep.
to get in their properties. So pretty cool. Although we are going to be talking about quite a few black actresses who are killing it right now as well in a second. So sad to see Atlanta go. Drop us your favorite episodes below if you're watching on YouTube. But Dave, let's move on from Atlanta for the last time to Wakanda. Wakanda Forever. Dave, if you're watching on YouTube, your background is Namor from this, and I gotta say,
Hmm.
good call because I did not really like Wakanda Forever very much, but Namor was someone that I did enjoy quite a bit.
Hmm.
Um, to be honest, I thought Wakanda Forever, while certainly a fine attempt at trying to keep a series going that was purely focused on or centered around a character that is no longer able to be on screen with Chadwick Boseman passing and not able to play T'Challa anymore. I thought they did a serviceable job of trying to like revive it, but overall just did not really work for me. And I think there's some cool things, but I think overall it almost just felt kind of random. Like
Mm.
some of the moments I felt like kind of came out of nowhere and things just kind of happened, but didn't really totally make sense to me. So I was a bit disappointed. Where were you? Where do you stand on it?
Yeah, I think that's a good way to frame it because Black Panther Wakanda Forever, unfortunately, not by design, out of necessity, has to serve a lot of masters due to the passing of Chadwick Boseman in 2020. Of course, the loss of Chadwick Boseman is really insurmountable. Uh, Hard to really state, him as truly, I think, one of like the signature American actors of his time, and an incalculable loss. And to try and make a sequel to Black Panther without him is, you know, like you said, they gave it their best chance. So as a result, Ryan Coogler and Marvel, everyone at Marvel, like they had to redo this movie. They rewrote it. Obviously, it has to start off right away with big downer. They have to address the fact that T'Challa is dead. Very somber vibe in the theater, because how could it be anything else? No one's happy that we don't get to see Chadwick Boseman in our lives anymore. It sucks. And unfortunately, like Wakanda Forever, it just has to have a lot of downer qualities to it too. On the other side of things, it's serving as a sequel to Black Panther and a new MCU movie in general. It's doing actually a fair amount of MCU storytelling setup that I didn't necessarily expect. You have the introduction of Dominique Thorne's new character, Riri Williams, who will, of course, be the star of the Ironheart MCU series later in 2023 on Disney Plus. And then, even more unexpectedly, you have a fair amount of plot with Martin Freeman and Julia Louis-Dreyfus, the Valentina character, setting us up for the Thunderbolts film. It's like you have a lot of like MCU like side stories in addition to a movie that needs to be the coda for the loss of Chadwick Boseman and still be a sequel to Black Panther for all those other characters that are still alive. It just, there has to be a lot accomplished in this movie, which is a long movie, but it's just a lot of goals for a franchise movie to attempt at. Of course, introducing one of the most popular and sought after historical Marvel characters, of course, Namor the Submariner. You're also bringing him into the mix as a fixture of the MCU moving forward. Like, they had a lot going on. And I think all those things I listed all have varying levels of effectiveness. But the movie itself ultimately gets a bit bogged down by having all that stuff.
So, what would you say are the most effective aspects of the movie to you?
So I gave Black Panther a rewatch right before seeing Wakanda Forever. And I think it really holds up. It's still my favorite MCU film. And the reason I love it so much is because the Black Panther movie, and both of them for that matter, largely due to the, presence of Ryan Coogler, one of our great directors who is a bit overqualified to be making a Marvel movie, to be honest. Like, these movies are about something like tangible and real, which you can't say about almost any other MCU movie. Like the themes of Black Panther, both of them, I think are really tangible and really compelling stuff, And I love how those themes get tweaked from movie to movie. Wakanda starting out as an isolationist, protectionist kind of country. And then we're moving forward with Wakanda Forever, Wakanda in the world of MCU. Like, I say this all the time, like the MCU doesn't feel like a real place to me in terms of like a world. But I think Wakanda and also now Talokan, our Namor's Atlantis, basically, those two kingdoms and their relationship with each other and their relationship with the outside world, what that's about in terms of them trying to ward off Western imperialism
Mhm.
and the overreach of other governments and just taking care of themselves before people come after them. Like, that is really compelling and I think really smart way to ground this movie in a semblance of reality. And they nail it in the first movie. And I think when they're given chances to do it again in two, I do enjoy it. I really liked the use of Namor in this film because I think he's once again, like Killmonger, a compelling antagonist for a movie that has this kind of like high floor thematically, narratively. And I think Namor does a really good job of communicating the other side of the Wakandan like struggle to
Mhm.
sustain themselves as a kingdom without compromising who they want to be. And I thought all of that was really strong, and Tenoch Huerta's performance as Namor definitely pretty scene stealing as far as the
Oh yeah.
MCU goes. I liked him quite a bit. I'm very happy to see him return in the future. I liked a lot of that stuff, that's why like I'm willing to give Black Panther 2 more of a pass than I am to say other like mixed, muddled MCU sequels, because I think there's like so much more under the hood with this movie thanks to just the creative decisions that are, at the helm here. So it's a long way of saying like I just think it's a bit smarter than some of the other stuff.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. One of the moments in the movie that I appreciated the most was actually near the end, and Suri is, very
Shuri.
Shuri, sorry, is incredibly angry and looking for revenge, and she's talking about how she's gonna go kill Namor and all this, and just like totally defeat his people, and you get Winston Duke as M'Baku, who's like, all right, well that's your plan, but are we sure that this is really the right plan? Like, is this really
Mm,
how we want to be treating these people instead of like trying to help them or try to like
right.
approach this differently?
They don't need to be our enemies. It's very compelling.
Have we ever like other than like the obvious Captain America versus Iron Man, like two perspectives on governing superpowers and
Yeah.
the roles of superheroes? Have we ever really had any like thoughtful introspection or like conversation in the MCU about like what they're actually doing a lot of the time and like if it's actually like the right way to go about things? I don't really think
Yeah,
so.
maybe
You
some of
know?
like the Sokovia like stuff here
Yeah.
and there, but it's not given the time it deserves to be thematically rich.
Right, and so that was just a moment where it made me like step back and be like, "Oh, I mean, I just did not expect to hear that conversation happen." I really
Hmm.
appreciated that, and I think you summarized it really well. That the interplay of like what this African nation as a very powerful nation, but one that is not known to be powerful until the United States and other world powers are starting to discover its vibranium resource
Hmm.
as well as just its technological power in general, I think is really like a fascinating thing to explore. And I think I agree when you get some of the stuff where Ramonda goes in front of the I don't even know the
I think it
UN
was the
or
UN, yeah,
yeah, I thought that was pretty interesting. I liked that. I think actually a lot of what I didn't really vibe with that much was Letitia Wright as Shuri. It was hard I think to like totally buy into her experience, and she's got a hard role, right?
yeah,
So right from the beginning she's being tapped as like the one who's taking this torch, and that's already a difficult position to be in. But having to be grieving and
yes,
angry and frustrated, and not really getting to do a lot of the things that she does really well, which is just be like snarky and charming and like chiming in, but having to like kind of carry it. I just don't think she was really uh, in the position to do that. And I almost kind of feel like there was a missed opportunity to maybe put Lapita a little bit more at the center of this film and maybe let
yeah,
her do a little bit of heavy lifting, especially you get this post credit scene where her and Chadwick had this child that they haven't shared with the world or
mm,
even shared with Ramonda at all. And it's like maybe there was more there to explore, and that could have been something and let
yeah,
Letitia kind of be in her bag more. But I don't know. It just that part was tough for me for sure.
yeah, yeah. I agree. I think Letitia Wright's good in the movie. Um, she's given a lot more reps, in this film, but a lot of those reps she has to be really sad or really mad.
Yep.
And like you said, she doesn't get to be as funnish and quippy as she was in the first movie, where she was really like a welcome like antecedent to the regal grace that was
Mhm.
Chadwick's T'Challa. Like she's note perfect in the first one, and I mean it makes sense that she's like set up as our new Black Panther character, and of course they have the son of T'Challa set up for like down the line post, you know, uh, Kang and everything, whatever. But yeah, I was expecting more of Nakia. I was expecting more of Lupita, no question. And like, it's like, man, it's like we all know how great of an actor Lupita Nyong'o is, and she's sidelined for a lot of this movie. I was really hoping she would be more front and
Mhm.
center. She carries some dramatic scenes for sure, but not as many as I was hoping for,
Yep.
um, which is a bit disappointing. Just because, I mean, I was not totally convinced that Shuri was gonna become the new Black Panther. Like you see the female in the suit in the trailer, the woman in the suit, and you're like, okay, it's probably Shuri, but is it?
Hmm.
Because maybe that was just me like being a Lupita Nyong'o fan. I'm like, nah, make it Nakia, man, that would be
Yeah.
sick. They didn't do it.
Nope, they didn't do it. Also, quite a few people in this movie I really like that I feel like maybe didn't really get to show out. Obviously, you don't have Kaluuya coming back, which hurts.
Yeah, I
Losing
believe
him
that was more
and
just that was more to do just scheduling
yeah,
conflicts once the movie had to be pushed back after the loss of Chadwick. So yeah, you don't get what's his name, Wakabi. You
yep.
don't get Daniel Kaluuya back, which of course he's one of our great actors, so that is a loss
Mhm.
for sure.
But you get Michaela Cole stepping in.
Yes,
And
new character.
I had a lot of hope for her character to really like jump off the screen. And certainly when I first saw her, I didn't know she's in the movie, so I was like, Michaela Cole,
Oh,
great look,
nice
nice to
surprise.
see
Yeah.
you. Didn't really feel like her character really grabbed me the way I was hoping. I didn't love the new character. What was her name? The MIT student.
Oh, Riri Williams, Ironheart.
Yes, I didn't really love that character.
Interesting. You
I don't
didn't
know.
like her like different energy, her Americanness.
Definitely a different energy, and I actually think in terms of like action, the like scene on that bridge was probably one of my
Yeah,
favorites. Although I don't understand how there
in
was just
Boston.
no traffic, no one around. Like, don't really understand that, but cool.
I
But yeah,
should
I don't know.
I
She's
should
been
have went to
grabbing.
that filming. Like that
Yeah,
is like a very public area.
y-
You could totally be on the shore watching that get filmed. Like that was like I was like fuck. I knew they were in Boston. I didn't know they were right there.
yeah, like literally right there. Although you would never be an extra only because you're so tall.
It's true.
But
Yeah, I don't fit the
unfortunate.
parameters.
But yeah, I think out of all the newcomers in terms of characters, definitely Tanakh Huerta was
Yeah.
by far the scene stealer, like you said. Um, of course, it ends in like a big CGI fight near the end, but
Hmm.
wasn't as bad as some of them. I thought it was kind of interesting.
No, I agree. I think the fight between Shuri and Namor in like the deserty, dark, dry area, I
Yeah.
thought that was actually pretty good because they do a good job of setting up like that conflict and like why Namor is so desperate to save his people, protect his people, and you understand Shuri's rage and where she's
Mhm.
coming from, right? I think that conflict all makes sense, you know. And I was like, them going out on a big boat and having the Talokan people attack them in their area of choice, which would be the sea. I was like, you know what? They did just enough to make it make sense because like now we're gonna bait Namor and then we'll take him out and like we just gotta like uh get our ass kicked until Shuri pulls it off. I was like, okay, they like I think they just convince you enough that that's like a good plan for a you know third act fight as we
Sure.
expect. Um, the CG is a bit up and down
Yeah.
in this one. I think I was watching, I was like, man, I think it's just like the stuff we've been talking about, how like the CG animation houses are just overworked, and like
Yep.
the fact that Black Panther 2 gets delayed, but still probably didn't have enough time for post, just kind of sucks, doesn't it? It's like
I
could
mean,
look better.
it's Marvel just having too much dip on their chip, man. Like they're just doing too much. They gotta slow it down to give
Right.
these people some time to really, I think, like craft things better.
Yeah.
Real
I
quick.
I will
Oh, go
say
ahead.
though, like in terms of like too much dip on their chip, I think the use of Black Panther 2 to introduce Riri Williams was a very effective way to set up Ironheart and get people to care about that series.
Sure.
I like this method way more than putting someone in the series first and then dropping them in the movie. Not that that can't work. Like I'm sure like Kamala Khan will land in the Marvels when it comes out. Like to me, like this actually like increased my anticipation for
Hmm.
Ironheart, and I think that is
Interesting.
a win. Like reminds me of Civil War introducing us to T'Challa for the first time and increasing people's already high expectations for the Black Panther film. So
Mm.
now, if Black Panther Wakanda Forever wasn't as overstuffed, I think the Riri edition wouldn't feel as tacked on as it might to some. Because I actually think like that's something the MCU has done effectively before. Is that's kind of like the close connected storytelling of the MCU done right. It's something like that. Um, Do you think they're still gonna make the Dora Milaje series that they talked about like a year ago? Remember, like they introduced the Dora Milaje and or brought him into Falcon the Winter Soldier kind of randomly, and we know they're gonna make a series, so they say. I wonder if that is still in the cards for the next plan for these immediate characters. I wonder.
I don't think you give Florence Kasumba and Michaela Cole the role that
Right.
you do, and
The
then
Nigeria as well. Yeah.
yeah, and then not do this. Especially, you're gonna have um, Kasumba and Cole be romantically involved. I mean, that's set up for a television show right there. So I think they're definitely gonna do it at some point. And if you can get Michaela Cole writing it, I mean, come on,
Oh,
like why wouldn't you?
damn. That would be sick.
I would love to see if Disney would actually like go for that though.
Yeah.
Might be too edgy for them. Real quick, Killmonger
Goes
shows up
back.
in
Surprise.
this.
Yeah.
Did you like it?
Honestly, I did like it.
Yeah,
I
me
think
too.
I think it worked. I think it worked. They set it up well, and like I love the ancestral plane. I think that shit works so well in the first movie. The score, the Louis Göransson drop
Hmm.
when like T'Challa goes to the ancestral plane and like sees his dad and shit. It's epic. It's like Lion King vibe inducing. Like it's so good, right? And
Yep.
this time around, they do it in like an unsatisfying way for the character. I thought that was really smart, really bright, and yeah, get to see Michael B again. Like having just rewatched the first one, like he really is spectacular as Killmonger. To some people, it's a bit of overacting. To me, I think it's just the right note, and
Yeah.
I really like seeing him here.
It was nice to see him. I thought it made sense, and he was making some points. Like he was making some points, giving Shuri some hard truths. I think so.
Yep.
Um, any last thoughts on this? I mean, I don't know. I definitely wasn't as pleased with it as I was hoping to be, but I think
Yeah.
overall it's still better than a lot of the stuff we get with the MCU.
Right.
So
That's what I said. Like, there's all these parts, and they all have varying levels of effectiveness, and that's just kind of the unfortunate circumstance that was this movie. Now, the counter to that would be probably they should have just focused on Black Panther stuff and the loss of Chadwick, and not put a Riri Williams in this. Maybe even not try to Namor. Like, I'm sympathetic to that point of view, but I think
mhm,
for what it is, what it was trying to achieve, which was many things, it's up and down,
yeah,
and we've certainly seen worse.
think Kugler comes back for a third.
That's a great question, man. I
I
think
don't
he's
think
at
so.
least as a producer involved in the Dora Milaje series. At least he was announced as one. Obviously, we would love Ryan Coogler to make a non-franchise movie again. That would be awesome. But I think he does bring a thematic point of view to these movies that
Mhm.
we don't get really anywhere else in the MCU. So obviously, I would welcome it.
I would definitely welcome it. I just my selfish hope is he starts making original stuff again. So
Yeah, of
we'll
course.
see. Anyways, let's wrap up there. What do you got for next week?
Yeah, so next week, I think the big thing for us is the final Brockhampton album is coming out. The Family.
Hmm.
Brockhampton Says Goodbye. We'll get into all that, of course. And then I think two high profile movies coming out. The Menu, the Anya Taylor Joy, Nicholas Holt suspenseful drama comedy film. And of course, one of the Oscar contenders of the year, She Said, the Harvey Weinstein dramatization story, about the investigation of it, the journalism side of things. Then we also have some music from Roddy Ricch and Waste Blood, and there's a Netflix movie with Florence Pugh coming out, The Wonder. So still some pretty good stuff. And then December is really loaded with stuff, and post Thanksgiving really. So we're really heating up here, and also making our end of year lists before we know it.
Well, can't wait to talk about it all. Hit the subscribe on youtube.com/nostalgiapod and follow us on our Twitter at nostalgiapod, and the link tree there has every way to follow us there. We'll see you next week.